At 87 years old, Jane Fonda finally talks about Robert Redford. Jane Fonda was born with the name Jane Seymour Fonda on December 21, 1937 in New York City. She was meant to be famous because her dad was the super-famous Hollywood actor Henry Fonda, and her mom was a high-class lady named Frances Ford Seymour. But even though her family had money and was well-known, her life wasn't easy at all. When Jane was young, she went through really hard times and big losses. The saddest thing was when her mom died by suicide when Jane was only 12 years old. This terrible event changed Jane's feelings forever and affected a lot of her work later on. She became an actress who played characters with complicated problems, and she also became a person who cared about growing as a person, thinking deeply about life, and making the world better. Jane went to fancy schools like Emma Willard and Vassar College when she was young. But it was when she studied in Paris and then at a special acting school with a teacher named Lee Strasberg that Jane found what she really loved doing: acting. She performed on Broadway for the first time in 1960, and then she started making movies. She quickly showed everyone that she was really talented, not just famous because of her dad's name. Her first movies like Tall Story in 1960 and Cat Ballou in 1965 showed that she could play different types of characters and that people naturally liked watching her. By the end of the 1960s, she had become one of the most talented young stars in Hollywood. People loved her acting in movies like Barefoot in the Park in 1967 and Barbarella in 1968. That last movie, Barbarella, was directed by her husband at the time, Roger Vadim. Barbarella made her into a super-famous sex symbol all around the world. But it also made people think of her in only one way, which she didn't like. Later on, she wanted to show people she was serious and cared about important things in the world, not just looking pretty on screen. The 1970s was when Jane Fonda's life and work really changed. She didn't want to be seen as just a pretty movie star anymore. She started getting involved in politics and fighting for causes she believed in. She spoke out loudly against the Vietnam War. She fought for civil rights for all people, and she supported causes that helped women. This made her one of the most talked about and controversial people of her time. There was a famous photograph called Hanoi Jane that was taken when she visited North Vietnam in 1972. This photo made many people really angry at her for many, many years. But even the people who didn't like her had to admit she was brave and really cared about fairness and doing what's right. Jane herself later said that her choices during that time were complicated. She said she was sorry for some of the things she did, but she still believed in working for peace and helping people. As an actress, Fonda got even better at her job during this time. She won Oscars for her amazing performances in Clute in 1971 and Coming Home in 1978. These awards showed everyone how talented she really was and how many different emotions she could show. In Clute, she played a woman who worked as a call girl and got caught up in a mystery. She gave one of the most beautiful and vulnerable performances of the whole decade. In Coming Home, she played a soldier's wife who falls in love with a Vietnam veteran who was paralyzed. This movie reflected her own thoughts about politics and how much she cared about the people who were hurt by war. These roles proved that she was not only one of the best actresses of her time, but also a woman who wasn't afraid to connect her acting with the things she believed in. In the 1980s, Jane Fonda became famous for something completely different besides movies. She became a cultural icon by creating an amazing fitness business. It started when she released Jane Fonda's workout in 1982. This exercise video completely changed the fitness world and helped millions of women feel powerful about taking care of their health and bodies. Her workout tapes became best sellers all over the world. She used her fame to talk about feeling good about your body, staying healthy, and getting older while staying strong and graceful. This change showed that Fonda could adapt to new times while staying true to herself, ambitious, hard-working, and caring about society. In her later years, Jane Fonda made an amazing comeback. She returned to acting in movies like Monster and Law in 2005 and Youth in 2015. She also had a role that people loved in the Netflix show Grace and Frankie with Lily Tomlin from 2015 to 2022. This introduced her to a whole new generation of young fans. Outside of acting, she kept doing the activism work she had done her whole life. She focused on climate change, women's rights, and making society more fair. When she was in her 80s, she got arrested several times during her Fire Drill Fridays, climate protests in Washington, D.C. This proved that her passion for making the world better was still as strong as ever. Today, Jane Fonda is seen as a symbol of strength, change, and standing up for what you believe in. Her life story is all about transformation. She went from being a young Hollywood starlet to an Academy Award-winning actress. She went from being a controversial activist to a beloved elder stateswoman who fights for good causes. Through her acting, her bravery, and her lasting grace, she has inspired countless people to ask questions, to grow as people, and to fight for a better world. Jane Fonda is not just a performer. She is living proof of the power of reinventing yourself, showing compassion, and telling the truth. Her legacy continues to shine as brightly as ever. It's a tribute to a woman who never stopped daring to live boldly, think deeply, and use her voice to make a difference. Jane Fonda's personal life has been just as exciting and public as her famous career. This is especially true when it comes to her marriages. Each marriage showed different times in her life, her changing beliefs, and the things that mattered most to her at different ages. Her first marriage was to a French film director and writer named Roger Vadim. She married him in 1965. Vadim was already famous for his work in European movies and for dating other famous women before Jane. He played a big role in helping Fonda learn about international films. Their marriage was a mix of strong passion, artistic goals, and trying new things socially. Fonda was dealing with both the glamorous side and the hard parts of becoming a big star in Hollywood. At the same time, Vadim's European style and creative way of making films influenced her a lot. Even though they were excited and attracted to each other at first, their marriage ended in divorce in 1973, after 8 years together. This showed how hard it is to balance being happy in your personal life with having big career goals, especially when you come from different cultures and everyone is watching you. This time in Fonda's life changed her a lot. Not only did she grow as an actress, but she also started caring about politics and activism. These things would become a huge part of who she was later in life. Soon after her divorce from Vadim, Fonda got married a second time. This time, she married Tom Hayden in 1973. Tom Hayden was very active in politics and social causes. He was an important person in a movement called the New Left. Hayden was a different kind of partner for Fonda. This marriage mixed her personal life with working for social causes. Their marriage lasted 17 years and ended in 1990. During these years, Fonda's political activism got even stronger. This showed how much the couple cared about the same causes like being against war, supporting feminism, and fighting for social justice. Together, they dealt with the complicated parts of being public figures and activists. The media watched them closely all the time, which sometimes made their personal relationship difficult. Their partnership showed what a whole generation was trying to do, combining private life with public responsibility and helping society. Even though their marriage ended eventually, it had a huge impact on Fonda's view of the world and her commitment to fighting for social and political causes. This became just as important to who she was as being an actress. Fonda's third marriage was to a media mogul named Ted Turner. She married him in 1991. Turner was a billionaire businessman who started the Turner Broadcasting System. This marriage brought together two people who were both very famous and powerful. Their marriage combined Fonda's work in acting and activism with Turner's business empire and influence in media. This created a high-profile partnership that got a lot of attention from the public. Even though they both cared about charity work and world issues, their marriage had problems. These problems came from the pressures of being famous, having very different lifestyles, and being watched closely by everyone. They got divorced in 2001 after being together for 10 years. This marked the end of another important chapter in Fonda's personal life. This marriage showed that Fonda knew how to be in relationships with very powerful people, while still keeping her own identity and continuing to follow her professional and activist dreams. Through these three marriages to Roger Vadim, Tom Hayden, and Ted Turner, Jane Fonda's personal life shows us a picture of a woman who kept changing and growing. She learned from each relationship, tried to balance love with personal growth, and used her experiences as part of her bigger life mission of being creative, doing activism, and empowering others. Each marriage ended in divorce, but they all helped her develop as a person and made her public image more interesting. These relationships left permanent marks on both her private journey and her public legacy. At 87 years old, Jane Fonda finally broke her long silence about her relationship with Robert Redford. Robert Redford was a Hollywood icon and a longtime friend of Jane's. His recent death made people think deeply and remember him with love, especially those who knew him best. Fonda has always been celebrated for being brave, standing up for causes, and being open and honest. She spoke openly about the deep respect and admiration she felt for Redford, both as an actor and as a person. She shared insights that very few people have ever had the chance to hear before. She said, "Robert and I shared a bond that went way beyond just being friends. There was a deep understanding between us that we didn't even have to talk about. It was built over years of working together, going through the good times and bad times in Hollywood, and watching each other grow both personally and professionally." In these words, Fonda explained that her connection with Redford was based on respecting each other, sharing a sense of artistic integrity, and recognizing the rare authenticity he brought to every role, every project, and every personal conversation. Fonda thought back to their early days in the movie business. She remembered that Redford's presence always made her feel calm, reassured, and inspired. "When I first met Robert, he had this rare combination of being humble and quietly confident," she explained. "It was impossible not to feel comfortable around him, to feel that your work was important, that your voice mattered, and that your presence made a difference. He had a way of really seeing people, seeing them beyond just the surface, and that kind of attention to people is something you don't find very often in life or in Hollywood." Her comments show not just how much she admired his work as an actor, but also that she recognized his deeply human qualities, his integrity, his thoughtfulness, and his decency. These qualities shaped his relationships and his legacy. Fonda also talked about the creative energy they shared when working together. She described it as transformative, meaning it changed her. "Working with Robert was always an experience that made me better at my craft. He had this ability to challenge you without ever making you feel small. He would push you to explore your limits and dig deeper into your character. But he did this while creating an environment where you felt safe and supported. That's a rare gift in someone you work with, and it's something I treasured very much." Her words help us understand that there was a mentorship quality to their friendship. This suggests that Redford's influence went far beyond the time they spent acting together on screen. It went into the core of how Fonda approached her art. She emphasized that his encouragement and helpful feedback helped shape some of her most praised performances. This left a permanent mark on her career. Beyond just working together professionally, Fonda's memories reveal the personal warmth and loyalty that defined their connection. Robert was someone you could count on, not just in the world of movies, but in real life. He was steady, kind, and genuine in ways that are becoming more and more rare. He made you feel seen and valued just for being yourself. Her words show how rare it is to have a friendship in Hollywood that combined being your real, authentic self with always supporting each other. Fonda's admiration also extended to Redford's dedication to social and environmental causes. She highlighted that he wasn't only a talented actor, but a man who was deeply committed to leaving a positive impact on the world. She explained he didn't just talk about making a difference, he actually lived it. That was inspiring, and it's something I'll carry with me forever. Finally, Fonda talked about the emptiness his death has created in her life, and in the broader community of artists. Losing Robert is like losing a part of the foundation of what we built together in Hollywood, a pillar of honesty, creativity, and decency. I am grateful for every conversation, every time we worked together, every moment of laughter and learning we shared. His spirit, his talent, and his kindness will stay with me always. Her statement is both a tribute and proof of the lasting influence of Redford's life and work. It reflects a deeply personal story that is connected with the legacy of one of cinema's most respected people. By speaking out, at 87 years old, Jane Fonda not only honors Robert Redford's memory, but she also reminds the world of the deep, lasting connections that can come from a life devoted to art, activism, and real human connection. Her thoughts give us a rare look into the personal side of a relationship that went beyond Hollywood glamour. They reveal the heart, respect, and lasting admiration that defined their bond.